Hello again, everybody. This is the Projectionist. Don't worry, these little disclaimers at the beginning of the podcast will not become commonplace, but I did want to explain something before this episode starts. So this week, we had a guest on the show, one Brian Salisbury, who was a fantastic guest, and I want to thank him again for coming on. We had a great time with him. It was so much fun having him on the show. And up until the very end of the podcast, everything it seemed to have been going great, everything was recording well, everything seemed to have fallen right into place. Until the very end of the podcast, when we realized that somehow Brian's audio had gotten screwed up. Don't ask me how, we don't know exactly what happened, but long story short, we lost Brian's audio feed. And the genius that I am, I didn't back it up on my end. So long story short, we don't have Brian's audio. Now, I was able to salvage a little bit of what he had through my mic input on my end. So sadly, this podcast is going to have pretty crappy audio quality. I've done my best to clean this up as best as I can, but I just wanted to let you know that the audio in this podcast is going to sound rather muddy. It's going to be scratchy at times. You're going to hear a lot of stuff in the background. I've done my best to clean it up, but there's only so much I can do with the time available. So please, ladies and gentlemen, forgive us this one podcast. It's not going to sound that good, but I definitely didn't want to start over from scratch because we had so much fun with Brian, and I didn't want to lose that podcast. So ladies and gentlemen, again, just want to let you know, the audio for this podcast will not be that good, but again, if you can get past that, you should have a great time. So, that being said, on with the show. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Threading and Dreading. It's been a while since we recorded. It's been quite busy. Things have been, chaotic as of late with a few of us, and so chaotic that half of us can't even show up on time for this podcast. But we're going to do what we can. We're going to go around the room and introduce everyone real quick. To my right, we have...
So, I'm not really good at math. I'm really bad at math. But I'm pretty sure that half of 4 is not 1.
Okay, yes, fair enough. Okay, but to my right we have...
The superhuman aficionado, Paul.
How you doing, sir?
I'm alright.
Good, glad to hear it. And next to Paul we have...
very official.
Next to Paul we have Kim.
Hi.
The girl next door. How you doing, ma'am?
I'm alright.
That's great.
We need to get her a better name.
What is wrong with the girl next door?
No, I meant than Kim. Like, it's really... No, because eventually she's, I don't know, either going to dump you or move in.
Oh, my God. What, call her by her full name? What I don't...
Anyway, moving on.
Hopefully, Allison will be joining us shortly, but besides that, we have a very special guest tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce from oneofus.net... What?
It's a drum roll.
Oh, look who decided to
show up all late, just as we're introducing our special guest. Grab your mic, sit down.
Yay, Allison's here.
I lost my chocolate, alright? Then I couldn't find my receipt, and I was very upset I lost my chocolate.
Okay.
We're actually recording.
I lost my chocolate, and I had to find it.
Before we get to our special guest real quick, we also have Allison, the 3-star Sapphire. How you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I have my chocolate.
Okay, well, that's good. So, back once again to our special guest. He is one of the co-founders of oneofus.net and is, well, sadly used to be one of the contributors to Spill.com, a man who I am very grateful to call a friend. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brian Salisbury.
I think you officially called me special more than my parents. It's really awesome of you.
My apologies, sir.
Actually, it's pretty creepy because he has your address and...
Apology, and my therapist says so.
How you doing, sir?
I am fan-damn-tastic. How are you?
We are doing well. Now that we finally have our whole crew here and Allison is enjoying her chocolate. And now that she has a full mouth, I'm going to try and turn the mic over to her. No, eat. Go ahead and eat. You're on mic. Go ahead and eat.
I learned fractions.
Did you mix your own drink today?
No, I
was having a problem with math at the start of the podcast, apparently.
What do you mean?
I have to ask, is everyone else else at the requisite chocolate level, are we okay to get started?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I had a couple hot dogs before I got here. Yeah, I think I'm held over for.
How have things been on your end, Brian? Your weather in Austin has been chaotic as of late, hasn't it?
It's been indecisive. It's been like a Democrat in an election year, kind of flips back and forth. But it's one of the things that even at its worst, it's still better than most parts of the country. So
Except Atlanta.
Yeah, except Rhode Island. Rhode Island is apparently heaven on earth, and Belinda Carlisle sings about it all the time. What the fuck? It's Rhode Island, man. I don't know why you're overselling the tiniest state in the nation. But, you sound like a bumper sticker come to life.
I did want to say, did people in Austin react to the snow that people in Atlanta did?
Kinda. I'm from Indiana. I'm from the Midwest, and we used to go to school on days when we had to walk, baby steps to the school bus, the 13 feet, because the entire road was a sheet of ice. I moved to Texas, where they can't send schools because it might snow. They're predicting snow, so they close. I have never seen that movie in my life. It makes me wish that I could have been a weatherman. I was like, I'll just make shit up every day. They're gonna love me.
They got like a Wheel of Fortune in the back. I don't fucking know what's going on.
Tomorrow, the apocalypse.
Might as well cancel school. It's the apocalypse.
Alrighty.
It's gonna snow.
Raining blood, so make sure you pack your galoshes.
Fuck, I remember a couple years ago when we were supposed to get the apocalypse in May or some shit, and I was legit trying to find out what the fuck is the weather going to be like tomorrow, and everywhere was being all goddamn sarcastic. 14 million degrees, hellfire and brimstone.
Oh.
I'm like, I just want to know if it's going to rain.
Oh, you mean the Harold camping shit that occurred back in 2012? Oh my god. Oh, that guy.
I'm like, I just want to plan ahead if I need a fucking umbrella.
Yeah, Brian, did you have any of that Harold camping stuff down in Austin?
I don't know who Harold
Okay.
is. I know who the Mayans are, if that's who you're
No. Well, the Mayans, oddly enough, was occurring the same year, but around on the East Coast, I have no idea why, but there was a ton of billboards and
but then it was the
different.
Were those the campers?
Yeah, the campers. Yeah,
The
what they would do was.
Yeah, I do remember this. We actually had an end of the world party in May.
Yes.
For the moment, because somebody was telling me, hey, the world's supposed to end today, and I was like, really? Okay, so my buddy Cargill, who was also a member of the spill crew, came over to my house, and he filled a bunch of empty plastic water bottles with wine, and he was dressed as Jesus. He had the best time. This was the impromptu apocalypse party. I kind of wish the world had ended. It was a good night.
I was really disappointed to wake up the next day.
Kind of like what happened.
To my life.
I was like, shit, now I'm wanted for murder.
And you know what was funny about that is that people out in Seattle actually started up a business of let us watch your dogs. Because apparently so many people had bought into the Harold camping thing that this company said, hey, when you ascend for the rapture, we'll take care of your dogs for 6 months before the earth goes to hell. It's like, wow. And enough people actually got into it that basically had a problem with people getting their dogs back after the world didn't end.
Oh my god.
Screw that. My dog's going to burn with me.
Oh.
Little Appa face.
Appa's going to be tearing them apart in the apocalypse.
He sure is. He knows. People are going to be putting their dukes up. He's gonna be like, I know what to do with some fists. Ripping hands off. I love my dog.
Oh, man. So have you been working on any projects over there, Brian? OneOfUs.net or anything else you got going on?
I've been working every minute of every goddamn day. No, we're constantly trying to add new content and both in terms of podcasts and in terms of articles and keep things fresh, and that becomes something of a waking nightmare. And it's the greatest job in the world. It's just one of the things that I work twice as hard at this supposed fake job that I never did at a quote-unquote real job. So but we have Staple coming up here in Austin, which is the Independent Media Expo. We're going to be doing some stuff for that. We got a lot of great stuff planned for South by Southwest.
Yeah, when is South by Southwest? How many weeks is that? I mean, when is it taking place? It's like middle of March, right?
It is. It takes place over like 3 weeks because there's film, there's interactive, and there's music.
Right.
And they kind of like dovetail each other. So really, South by takes over Austin for almost the entire month of March.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, the last time we were down in Austin, we had stopped by just before South by Southwest. I mean, other than Spill.con. That was the last time we were there. But the time before that, we had stopped by just before South by. And a lot of people thought we were in town for that, but we were just in town for shits and giggles, really. But, you know.
I like those guys. Those you're talking about the two brothers, Shits and Giggles, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they're the two highest graduates from Clown College.
I really like Giggles. His shit is a mess. He really needs to clean his act up.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's funny too because I've always worked for websites and written and done podcasts. I've never had to do the management side of things too, and handle promotion and stuff like that. It's a completely different animal, and it's going to be interesting. We got some cool stuff going on, but it's one of those things that like, what is sleep? What is a vague notion of what that used to be?
That's what happens after you drink too much.
That is why I drink because it's the only time I get to sleep.
Fair enough. Well, we all wish you the best. Whenever I get a chance, I love tuning into oneofus.net. I am getting so much enjoyment out of Inside the Locker and Original Gentleman. I'm just having so much fun with it.
I have both of those movies.
Which-
I also enjoy those movies. In fact, I watched one of them before I came here.
Wonderful.
It was a good one.
So, does anyone have anything to share before we get into movie news? Anything?
I mean, I feel like you're going to bring up everything, and then you're just going to expect me to talk. So, Why don't
Okay.
you just lead the way.
Lead the way? All right. Well, actually, a very short bullshit session today. I am shocked.
I was late.
Yeah, because Allison was late, we have a short bullshit session. But getting into some sad movie news, as some of you have probably heard, the late great Harold Ramis passed away today at the age of 69. It was not unexpected. He had not been doing well from what I had read, but it's still a tragic passing. I mean,
if you're going to go out after being a comedian, 69 is the greatest age.
no.
I think you would have appreciated it.
Yeah, he would have appreciated that. But, looking back on it, I had actually no idea how much work he'd actually done. I mean, of course, all of us know his work with Ghostbusters and Stripes and those type of films, but I had no
Groundhog
idea.
Day, too.
What's that?
Groundhog Day.
Yeah, I had no idea he
You
had
were
directed
late. We
Groundhog.
covered this already.
Whatever.
Chocolate receipt.
Hey,
You're
I got
right,
stuff
though,
to do.
Between producing and writing and directing, he is directly responsible for. I was working on an article about him, and I found it extremely difficult to put into words how important that guy really is to comedy, especially to the comedy that geeks like us latch onto. Is the only person who had as much of an influence upon the voice of 80s comedy as Harold Ramis was John Hughes.
Exactly.
Those two guys are the reason that 80s comedies are 80s comedies.
I could not agree more. I mean, I just looked back and I saw that he had worked on stuff, like Multiplicity and like the National Lampoon movies. I had no idea he was involved with those. I was shocked. I mean, Animal House. I was like, oh, are you kidding? I had no idea he was attached to those projects.
And a really great movie that goes way, way overlooked, unfortunately, is late 70s comedy Meatballs with Bill Murray.
Right.
meatballs.
Yes, it has a hilarious name. But it's
I remember that
sets
movie.
the standard for like kind of boner jam camp movies. Like, people go to camp, the counselors are trying to get laid. It's the kids are all kind of like dealing with, oh, I'm the dork at camp, but now I'm gonna find friends, and it's all because of this one counselor who happens to have my back, and that counselor happened to be Bill Murray. And that's the other thing about Harold Ramis is, like, he was a great filmmaker, but more than that, he was a muse. Like, he was Bill Murray's muse. Like, everything we love Bill Murray for came from Harold Ramis. And that's just, I can't imagine, like, that's not to underplay Harold Ramis's contributions to cinema himself, but like without Harold Ramis, we wouldn't have Bill Murray. Period.
Right. I really don't understand that going in. I mean, I looked at the stuff that he had worked on, and it pretty much followed Bill Murray's career early on. I had no idea. And you bring up John Hughes, there's a good point, and I feel, not obligated to bring this up, but it's kind of a sad note that, he and John Hughes kind of both went out on sad notes in their career, where, John Hughes went out on something like Made in Manhattan, Harold Ramis went out on Year One. So it's a sad note. It's a shame because, with the career that he had, I just wish he had gone out on such a higher note. And I know in later his career he had such a problem with, health issues. He couldn't really work past 2010. But it's a shame that his career had to end on that note. But if you want to look at it a different way, though, the last thing he really worked on was the Ghostbusters video game. So I like to think that was his last work.
Yeah.
I liked Made in Manhattan.
If we could take one positive thing away from the passing of Harold Ramis, is that maybe finally the internet will shut the fuck up about Ghostbusters 3.
Yes.
Oh God, please shut it down.
Yeah, I know.
It's not going to happen. Like, if you needed any more, like, I feel like he died on, like, he made sure to die so that we would stop talking about it.
In a sad way, you're right. It's the truth.
It's got to be in his will.
Sacrifice for the good of all of us.
He did. He really did.
It's got to be in his will. Thou shalt not make a Ghostbusters 3.
So,
It's a will, not a commandment.
Hey, whatever.
but I raise my glass to Harold Ramis. We thank you for all of your films, and God bless. Anyone else had anything to add about him? Any thoughts? Things you'd seen? Besides Paul saying that he enjoyed Made in Manhattan.
I like Made in Manhattan. I enjoy J-Lo.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. It's
And
all right.
Voldemort.
And Voldemort.
Match made in heaven.
Moving on from that, I did have one other bit of movie news I wanted to address, because I know a few people in...
Somebody else die?
No.
This year, did I just say this year has fucking sucked already?
It has. It really has. And, it's almost... Call me cynical for this. It's almost like after they come out with the Oscar announcements, there's been like 4 or 5 significant deaths since then. It's been really sad.
Get into the Oscar reel.
Exactly.
People are getting bumped off.
I know. So we had Philip Seymour Hoffman, Shirley Temple, Harold Ramis. Who else am I missing?
Sid Caesar.
Yes.
Caesar.
Oh my God.
Harold Rankin, who is half of Rankin and Bass and responsible for Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer,
Oh my
all those
God.
incredible
Oh,
stop-motion
yeah.
cartoons that we
Wow.
Unbelievable. Yeah, this has been rough.
I actually didn't care about Shirley Temple, personally.
It's not like the whole year's over and we're looking back now.
I know.
Right, yeah, it's only February.
Put Dick Van Dyke and Bill Cosby on lockdown, okay? I mean,
Yeah, if Dick Van Dyke goes, I'm done.
I know.
I quit.
So am I.
That's the true sign, the first sign of the
Oh, God.
apocalypse.
Yeah.
Oh man.
There's a carving on a Mayan calendar. It's just Bert from Mary Poppins.
It's great.
Jamal.
I
And
thought
it says Jello.
I thought it was gonna be him tripping over an ottoman, but
As Dick Van Dyke trips off the mortal coils, so shocking.
But the other bit of news that was announced early this morning was that NBC has greenlit a new Heroes series, which I'm kind of excited for. I never really got into Heroes, but Brian, were you a fan of Heroes?
I'm actually wondering if the real superpower here is that show's superpower to stay relevant long after it should have died.
I
Yeah.
kind of agree with you. But I was a little surprised by this. It's going to be a 13 episode, like one season. That's all they really got greenlit right now, I believe. But
So how long has it been since the
So in the
original
4
series?
years.
How many?
Has
3
it
or 4
been?
years. Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I mean, the thing with Heroes was that every volume started, well, except for the one where they were being hunted, started off really well.
Mhm.
And then about 4 episodes in, just fucking plummeted. And the only good season was the first one.
okay,
And the
which is
only-
what the only real season I watched.
Right. And it's really, like every other season. And I think it started with the writer's strike during the second season.
Is that it?
Because they had to do that like mid-season thing. They had to wrap everything up. And the second season started off really cool. And then everything just kind of went to shit from there. And then the last season, I think they tried to make up for that by redoing kind of what they did with the first season, where it was just one long story, and that story sucked.
See, I didn't watch past the first, so
I just wanted
don't know.
everybody in the last season to die. I wanted the last season of Heroes to be the first season of American Horror Story. Like, oh my god, that guy was dead too?
That would have worked out well.
Yeah, it would have.
Quinto was there. That could have worked out well.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the first thing I took away from the first season of Heroes. Zachary Quinto. That's all I took away from that series.
I mean, the first season was so good.
yeah.
I mean, and they ended it on this note where it was like, all right, we're all together, but we're not a team.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm not really sure where they went with that. Like, they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Peter blew up, but didn't kill anybody, and then nothing happened after that. Peter got a haircut.
That's exciting.
And Kristen Bell joined the cast.
Right.
And so did her dad. Not Kristen Bell's dad, the character's dad.
Right.
He had the Midas touch, which everybody fucking cared about, obviously.
But I have a little bit jotted down about this. So NBC has said that they're going to launch a digital series prior to 2015 premiere that will introduce the characters in the new storyline. Because this is going to be like a standalone story arc with
Okay.
very little related to the original series.
I really liked Wes. Wes was a cool character.
Yeah.
He was the kid that could fly.
Yeah.
The actor's also like 30, and he played a 16-year-old.
Right.
That's
I hope that when I'm 30, I can still play a 16-year-old. Or play with a 16-year-old. Ugh,
Oh,
no.
God.
Oh
God.
no.
Moving on. But yeah, they've come out and said that it's going to be a standalone arc. It'll be 13 episodes, and they're going to basically introduce each character with these digital, this digital series are going to release. And I don't know. And like Brian said, is this series still relevant?
Absolutely
I
not.
mean, I don't care. I honestly really don't care about it. I'm intrigued, but I don't want to see this. I just don't.
What channel is this? NBC?
NBC, yeah.
ABC, CBS? One of those acronyms. This is them and DC trying to make money. That's all this is. Garbage.
Fair enough.
Disgusting comics.
If I could get lyrical for a second,
Shoot.
Buster Rap.
I wish there was just one season, and then it'd be done. You should see Heroes. Just for one season.
That was beautiful.
Thank you, Brian.
I feel like I was serenaded. Should I buy you dinner or something now?
Thinking of the image of all the other actors begging Zachary Quinto to come back, and he's just like, I got Abrams, buddy. I'm
Pretty much. Did you hear the rumors that he wants into Star Wars?
And did you hear the rumors that he'll probably end up being in Star Wars? At this point, it's like if you're willing to hire the director of Star Trek to do Star Wars, why wouldn't you be down with casting Spock as somebody in the new Star Wars universe?
He's going to be Chewie.
Yeah.
I already got Star Trek peanut butter on my Star Wars chocolate, so might as well go all the way.
I don't like peanut butter. I'm allergic to it.
I mean, again, I just want to touch on that. I know a lot of people, the buzz on the internet is, everyone wants to see this, but I just don't care. I honestly don't care. If my viewers are excited about it, let me know, but I'm indifferent. I'm just indifferent.
Wait, hold the phone.
Yeah.
There's viewers.
We have viewers?
Yes. Surprisingly enough, we have viewers.
People listen to this shit?
I've explained this several times, Paul. Yes, we have people who do listen to this podcast.
Shocking every time.
Who aren't just you listening to
Yeah, at work.
Yeah, Brian is the only viewer of the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Aw.
Oh man, now we're gonna have no viewers.
I know.
He's in it.
I thought that's how podcasts work. Like you play to one person specifically, and you interact with them. It's like the geek podcast version of a lap dance.
Yes.
You have one person.
Right. That's exactly how it works. But unless there's any other movie news anyone wants to bring up, I mean, that's
I
really
have
all.
some movie news.
Yeah, shoot.
One time we did a movie, and I played
Oh
Brian.
god.
Oh, yes, this is true. I don't know if you're. Yeah, Paul actually played you, and 28 reviews later. I don't know if you're aware of that, Brian.
I do remember he wore that eye patch very well.
Yes.
And I'm the only reason you didn't die. Because we kept coming up with all of these scripts, and I was like, I want to be that guy, and he's like, oh, you're gonna die, and I was like, stop making me Sean Bean. So I convinced him not to kill us.
This time.
That's very apt. With all the studying that I've been doing of 80s Italian post-apocalyptic sci-fi films, I know how to survive Armageddon.
Especially when his own friends are trying to kill him.
Yes.
True. I'll need a talking motorcycle. I will need a cult of crazy irradiated punks. And I will need Fred the Hammer Williamson. Do not ask me why.
Doesn't it also have to be shot in Technicolor like Suspira?
Yes,
Okay.
it does.
Okay.
It has to have a big scroll at the beginning that explains exactly what happened.
Exactly.
All I need is a fancy robe and a monk. The monk doesn't necessarily need a robe. And if I can get a sexually ambiguous black man who does a radio show, I'm down with that too.
Oh, I don't
don't
understand
even
that
wanna
at all,
know.
but okay.
Fifth Element, dude.
Oh, for God's sake, Fifth Element. I am so sorry. I am so sorry I missed that reference.
I thought he was talking about Cleavon Little and Vanishing Point. I'm like, I don't think he was sexually ambiguous. I remember that there have been movies made since 1981.
Yeah.
Same page.
I have to keep reminding my director at work that comics didn't stop being written in the early 90s when he stopped reading them. So he's like, did you know that there's this new team coming out? This is your segue, by the way. There's this new team coming out, and they're getting a movie? And I was like, they're not a new team. Oh, but all of the characters are created. I was like, oh, my God. No. I was like, in fact, all of them were created before the 90s. In fact, one of them was created before Marvel was Marvel.
Yep.
And what is the name of this team?
And the name of this team is actually our first trailer, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Sounds like a bunch of a-holes.
Drop it now!
Yeah, hey, cool, man. No problem. No problem at all.
Who are you?
Star-Lord.
Who?
Star-Lord, man. Legendary outlaw. Forget it.
Perfect segue. Thank you, Paul.
Amen to that.
I
So
want to ride a Segway.
No, my turn. So I have been creaming about this since fucking Avengers. So goddamn excited. And then they're like, trailer comes out tonight. Yeah. And I was like, all right. And as they said that, 15-second teaser came out, which was like orgasm in 15 seconds. There was a lot of shit going on. Couldn't see anything. Chris Pratt was shirtless. I was excited. And then the trailer came out.
Nothing else. The band Blue Suede just got a huge residual check and they don't know why.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That song has jumped so far up on iTunes, I can't even believe it. It is.
They're sitting at home going, wait, are they airing that episode of Ally McBeal?
Yes.
So I finally watched the first time I watched the trailer, I like put my phone down, I took my headphones off, I walked away from my desk. I was like, this is a fucking comedy. What is this? So I had to watch it like 2 or 3 more times, and I've appreciated it more since then, but I'm still very much looking forward to this movie.
You know, I gotta say this. You know, I'm not big into Marvel like you are. I'm just really starting to get back into Marvel.
Stand outside in the cold.
I'm sorry, but I really know nothing about these characters.
There's really nothing to know.
I
There's
mean-
a giant tree. He invaded the planet in 1960.
Okay.
He's from Planet X.
Okay.
And his best friend's a raccoon that isn't really a raccoon.
Okay.
And then there's Star-Lord. I think in the comics he's part robot. And then Gamora is Thanos' daughter. And then Drax is he's basically Superman.
No,
and
Drax
the
is from the WWE, but continue.
Yeah, he's basically Hulk Superman. They made a super soldier to protect their planet, and then their planet blew up anyway.
As I'm listening to you explain the characters, I see myself in 3rd grade making these drawings.
Yes.
This guy, he's a horse, but he's got wings, and he also... he runs entirely on peanuts, but he can make fire.
Yeah.
It's like the craziest shit you could I love it.
Yeah, it's glorious. I gotta say, I know nothing about these characters, but it's fucking glorious. I cannot wait to see this.
I am just looking forward to Comic-Con this year, because remember, our original plan was that we were going to all go as our own version of Batman villains.
Right?
I'm going as Rocky.
Fair enough.
I've already called my friend. I was like, could you make me a raccoon? And he was like, I'm sorry. Like a monster raccoon? No, just a raccoon. I need a raccoon face and a tail and a really big ass gun.
Oh, you know where you can get that costume? Everywhere that girls shop on Halloween. I mean, you don't have to wear a corset in the middle. Raccoon ears and a tail, you can definitely get that.
I'm not sure that the corset's attached to everything else. So I could probably opt out of that. but that doesn't mean that I will. Be like, Paul, what are you wearing under your bulletproof vest? A corset. What else?
Slimming.
Yeah, it's slimming. What else are you wearing? Nothing. I've got raccoon makeup and a tail. What are you missing here? I'm very cold.
And when they ask you what drugs you're on, you're like, nothing. I'm just hooked on a feeling.
Thank you. Good night.
I feel like he needs a mic to drop. Peace, bitches.
So,
Grab my pen.
Oh.
thank you. No. So I was amazed by the cast behind this. I mean, I had no idea who was originally voicing Rocket Raccoon and Groot, and I've discovered it was Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel.
Do you know how mad at you I am right now?
Why?
I've told you this like a dozen
No,
times.
you've told me Bradley Cooper, but you didn't tell me Vin Diesel.
I tell you everything.
Oh, for God's sake.
Because if there are two guys you hired just for their voices, it's Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
Although I'm glad that Vin Diesel was cast because this means...
It's Groot.
Right.
Well, I don't know because the original Groot didn't only say his name.
Well, didn't he
I
just
think
say...
it just like regenerated too many times. He was like Bobby Drake in AOA. He just fucking lost his mind.
I thought he just said, I am Groot, and that's all I
That's all he
repeated.
says now, yeah.
Oh, that's all he says now. Okay.
But
Um,
when he originally came out, he could speak fairly legibly. I mean, he's still a giant tree, alien. So
Interesting.
He's a giant tree with Vin Diesel's voice, so imagine he'll be like, I live my life a quarter acre at a time.
And at the very
I
end,
can see you in the dark. Who are you? I am Groot.
and at the very end, he'll just go, Superman.
What? That's a reference I don't get.
I don't get it.
Yes, he's the wooden giant.
Yeah, what I have to
Oh,
say,
my
honestly, is that, you know, kind of like what you guys have been saying, it doesn't look like every other Marvel film. It has, obviously, the comedic stuff in it. Like, Peter Serafinowicz standing in the background just dropping one-liners is
Yeah.
hilarious.
Right.
It has a real vibe of being, like, the Dirty Dozen in space. And I, like, can't even possibly hold in my brain the amount of anticipation I would have for an actual Dirty Dozen in space.
Yeah.
So, I'm totally on board.
Well, the whole reason that I was not feeling this from the start is because with everything that I know from the comics about the Guardians of the Galaxy, I've had a really hard time talking all day.
Okay.
I don't know why,
And
but
alcohol makes it better.
alcohol makes it more fun. Certainly, was that it's all been a very serious team, and then to see that it was a comedy, I was kind of surprised. I was like, holy shit, what the fuck are they doing to this team? And then a friend of mine that I was watching it with was like, take a breath, watch it again, but look at it in the sense of this is a team that nobody fucking knows. Nobody knows any of these characters except for those of us who have read them in the books. So they need to introduce them in the way that's going to appeal to someone.
Right.
And I am the first to allow alternate universe appeal factor. So long as you don't ruin my franchise, make things appealing. So I was like, all right. So I watched it a dozen more times while at work. I didn't really get a lot done that day. But
It's such a unique way to introduce these characters too, because I mean, we're used to hero origin stories. We're not used to here's the rap sheet on all of these
Yeah.
despicable criminals.
Right.
and the whole thing in the beginning where the Kree go to arrest Star-Lord, and he's got that really dramatic, like, I'm Star-Lord.
Right.
Who? And he's like, come on, man! What the fuck? Like, and this one's called Star-Lord. Who calls him that? Mostly he does. Like, when I got to that part, I kind of felt for the trailer again, because that part to me seemed more like the Iron Man humor. Mm-hmm. Where, you know, he comes in and he says something smart ass like, no gang signs. No, I'm just joking. Throw up gang signs.
Yeah.
Like, it had that Robert Downey Jr. humor, which I've come to expect from this franchise.
Right.
This universe.
Right.
So, we'll see.
Okay. And I do want one explanation, because you had talked about this before.
I'm just hoping Papa Duke shows back up.
The prevailing, like, basically, I guess you could call them the arresting troop in this, the arresting group that is...
Kree.
What?
The Kree.
What they're called, the Kree?
The Kree.
I thought they were the Nova Corps or something like that.
No, that's not the Nova Corps that arrests him. It's the Kree that arrests him in the beginning.
Okay.
So, you know who Captain Marvel is?
Yes.
He's a Kree.
Okay.
So the Kree, in the long-standing thing of the universe, there's the Skrull Kree War.
Okay.
And they're both their planets were destroyed by Galactus, and they're trying to find new worlds, and they're basically warring throughout the galaxy over who gets what.
Okay.
And they both have super intelligence, and they've both experimented on species, and from here we'll probably have to discuss this more. later.
Why does it suddenly smell like virginity?
That's it. We just lost Kim and Allison.
If I was aiming at the female populace, I would be incredibly upset right now that I just put 2 women to sleep. And now all that means is I have the men all to myself. Good night, ladies.
That's a good tactic. I like that.
It suddenly got very hot in here. Paul, did you turn the heat up? No.
But I didn't. I did know that the Nova Corps played into this, and you explained the Nova Corps as basically the Green Lantern Corps of Marvel. Basically,
it's an intergalactic police force.
Okay, which I'm interested in seeing because I know nothing about them, but I'm interested in seeing how that's played out here.
Well, and what's going to be interesting is that in the books we've had Nova on Earth,
right?
And he was like the first member that we knew about, and then he went off into space because he was part of their corps.
Yeah,
and then each one of them, it really is just like they're superpowered cops. They've got the whole Green Lantern-esque feel about them where, they're supposed to take care of certain areas. But I'm really trying to wrap this up because Kim and Allison are looking at me like they have no idea what I'm speaking some ancient language to them right now. But really Nova, like Nova Prime, Richard Rider, the one that we've known.
Right.
We're all missing
No one
these
can see
air
your air
quotes.
Mike, every time I do that, I need for you to throw up some air quotes.
Okay.
You like air quotes.
Air quotes. That's all I need, just a black screen with air quotes.
You know what? Ignore them, man. They're just scrolls.
Air quotes.
Whatever that means.
Well,
Don't worry, I barely know them.
But so we got like the superpowered Nova with Nova Prime when he absorbed all of their powers. So
Okay.
we're probably not going to get that. We're going to get a really corny police force that may or may not have like cosmic energies.
Okay, fair enough. I'm intrigued in seeing that.
I'm a little confused that like the cast they picked for it, and then they didn't show her in the trailer, but Glenn Close is leading them.
Right, I'd heard that.
If this movie had bears and Mila Kunis, I would just never leave the theater. Like that bourbon commercial is made for me.
We're gonna get the Mila Kunis later. But Paul and I have been rambling. Ladies, do you have anything to add to this?
Did you watch that trailer?
The raccoon looks kick-ass.
Bradley
He's-
Cooper.
And he's a cute little raccoon.
The cute little raccoon.
He'll blow you up.
Which, by the
Yeah,
way, I
whatever.
love all of the image macros I've seen about this, which is, hey, DC, we can't do a Wonder Woman film.
Yeah.
Marvel, hey, look, here's a raccoon with a machine gun.
Yep.
You know?
Who would not like a raccoon with a machine gun? Hello?
No one. But, yeah, that's pretty unexcused. I mean, yeah, how many times are we going to see Wonder Woman delayed? But apparently it's happening now, but we're not going to get into that. But Marvel just says, fuck it. Here's a raccoon with a machine gun.
And a giant tree.
And a giant fucking tree. Yeah.
Hey, I got an idea, guys. Let's put an ent in space.
Yes.
Like, how much heroin were those people on? They're like, hey, it's the 60s. Ents are from space.
Fair enough.
Makes sense, dude.
Dude, you got it? Oh,
got
yeah,
it.
dude, totally.
What planet's he from? Planet X. No, we're out of X.
Oh,
Oh, shit.
Alrighty, fair enough. Well, moving on from that, next trailer we have, which I don't know how to feel about, but it is The Purge: Anarchy.
Can you step on it? It's getting late. I'm sorry, I'm so anxious. It's just tonight.
We're gonna be okay. Just like always. Whoa.
No. Nick, this can't be happening. No one's gonna help us tonight.
This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual purge. At the siren, all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 hours. All emergency services will be suspended. Your government thanks you for your participation.
I didn't see the first one, but I really wanted to. But
Yeah, I
this
never
one
saw the
looked bad.
first one.
okay.
So I was like, what?
Am
I
I
don't
the only
know.
person that's seen the first one?
No, Kim and I saw the
yeah,
first
we
one.
saw the first one.
I wanted to see the first one. I liked the cast.
The first one is one of those movies that has a really interesting concept that I feel like falls apart in the third act.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Leading up to that third act, there was a lot of really great stuff going on. I was really digging it, and then things just kind of went awry. That, however, keeps me from writing off the sequel entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing that I'm, thinking about when I watched the trailer for this sequel is the Warriors. It looks like the Warriors set in the Purge universe, because you have these two kids that get stranded on the night of the Purge, and then it's just about them trying to get home while they're being chased by these various, violent gangs and crazy people. It's almost identical to the plot of the Warriors.
What I really
Ethan Hawke, come out and play.
Exactly. There's even a bus full of of gangsters at one point.
Yes.
Which happens in the fucking Warriors.
I didn't even think about that while watching the trailer. That's intriguing. I got to go back and watch it again.
Makes me want to see it. I love the Warriors.
Oh yeah.
I think that the second one looks really good, but based on I'd never seen the first one, but I didn't know it fell apart in the third act.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it still follows that same anything goes
Right.
kind of feel, and you're stuck on the outside.
Yeah. Now, this may be completely irrelevant, but I wanted to bring it up. Is this the same year where the original story takes place?
I was actually also curious about that.
I believe it's the same night.
Yeah.
What they're doing is they're kind of coming up with, and this was actually a cool idea.
It's
that,
Cloverfield.
Since
Right.
the Purge happens all across the country, there are lots of stories going on simultaneously.
Right. And I'm intrigued by that. Because if you notice at the end of the trailer, it's Lena Headey from the first film. She's doing the voiceover. She says, just think of all the good the Purge does.
Yeah.
So they use her quote from the original film at the end of this trailer, leading me to think, oh, this is tied into the same night. So I'm intrigued by that. I'm not thinking we're going to see anyone from the first film, but still, I like the fact that they're basically just going to tell different stories from that same night.
Yeah, it makes it like this weird, instead of a franchise, it's almost like a weird, enormous anthology film.
Right. Which is basically what they're doing with a couple things right now. They just did it with Paranormal Activity, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
I liked that movie.
We're not gonna touch on that. If I can tell Brian doesn't want.
You can't bring it up.
Okay, fair enough. Go ahead.
I want to say one thing about Paranormal Activity 4, apart from its rampant racism.
Wait, no, I didn't care about 4. I didn't see 4. I meant the marked ones.
I'm not gonna say anything specifically. I will say that there's the gimmick that they use in 4 that is usually reserved for like Friday the 13th Part 10. You know what I mean? Like when you start getting into the horror franchises that go way too long, there's a certain.
Wait a minute, Brian. They took him to space.
It's on that level. It's like a toolbox full of gimmicks that break out when the franchise is running.
Go to space, you go to England.
To try and jumpstart
Australia.
It, and do one in 4,
Australia.
I'm just like, are they really gonna? Yep. Yes, they are. Oh my god, there it is. That's something.
I will say I have never laughed harder in my life than when you said this film is the equivalent of a Mexican holding up a cross in the with churros. I have never laughed so fucking hard.
That was the only thing missing. Like, they hit on every other stereotype in the film. I was like, are you kidding me? And then the other guys in the review were like, I didn't find it that racist. I'm like, well, that's you were Mexican. And neither am I. But the point is, it's racist.
Paul, you look like you're about to burst at the seams. What's up?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
The kid literally wears a shirt at one point that says "Powered by Frijoles." Leave that right on the table.
And before we move on from The Purge 2, I just want to say this. I'm a little confused at the fact that in this trailer, we hear America the Beautiful with, in the background we see rapists and thugs and gangsters and,
This is what we stand for.
and nihilism. Yet for some reason when we sing it in a different language, that's what causes controversy. What the actual fuck?
Because rednecks like violence.
I mean, it's what the nation was literally founded on.
Fair
We
enough.
showed up, we were like, hey, we like your corn. We're going to kill you now.
Like your corn.
You go back to the Revolutionary War. We weren't hiding in the bushes to jump out and nickel the British. I think that's a really funny comparison. The way they use "America the Beautiful," which is so like poignant and almost reproachful in The Purge, but in a really fitting way. And then you have somebody singing it in a language that's not American, and might possibly want to be one of the Al Qaeda languages. It's just like, shut the fuck up.
Seriously.
Brian, I think that you pronounced that wrong. I don't think that there's an I in Merkin.
I didn't get the reaction to that. I also like that to me is on par with the reaction to that Cheerios commercial.
Oh God, don't.
Sweet Cheerios commercial where the little girl dumps the Cheerios on her dad because it's quote unquote good for his heart. That was really cute. And then later I'm hearing like, yes, but she was a mixed race family, and I'm like, you know what? I didn't even notice that because it's 20 whatever year it was, and we really shouldn't be focusing on that anymore.
Right.
Well, and now there's this huge controversy over 30 fucking seconds in Frozen, where the owner of the lodge, who is a huge fucking flaming bear, and his husband and their family are in his sauna.
Right.
No, they never actually say that that's who he is, but he just says, "Hi, family," and the guy and their 3 daughters wave to him, "Oh, hello!"
Yeah.
In their weird voice. I didn't fucking pick up that they were gay.
They're not even focusing on the right thing. If they really want it, like, there's no reason to criticize the movie, even if that is its agenda. But if they really wanted something to go after, just listen to the lyrics of the song "Let It Go."
Oh, I'd heard that criticized recently too. Yeah.
I don't think it's I'm not criticizing it. I love it. Like, if that's
Oh no, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
And what that song's about, it's a really bold Disney movie. I can't imagine that they really meant it that way because it is still a Disney movie. But like, that song feels like instead of they should be saying "Come Out."
Right.
It is such a rallying cry, like
Well-
stop living a lie and be out in the open. It's just like, holy shit.
Well, I feel like that scene is what kind of started pulling attention, but that was then the other part was that there was this, I think she was Mormon, this Mormon woman. Mike,
Yeah, I read about. No, you're absolutely right. It's some woman called like a well-mannered Mormon or something like that. Yeah,
and
who wrote
she
an
said
article
she
about
saw
this.
this movie with her fucking grandkids like a dozen times, and then she writes this article, and I'm like, you've probably donated more money than any of us have to Disney in a long time,
Right?
And now you're complaining.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm ashamed to let my grandchildren see this a dozen times. But that.
Why would you call yourself something that if you take out one letter, it's already the joke version of your name?
So.
A well-meaning more.
Exactly.
So I mean, I read like half that article and then was just like, I have better uses of my time. I'm gonna go masturbate.
Right.
I actually started writing an article like praising the movie up and down for being like really progressive and having this really positive message about the gay and lesbian community, and I didn't publish it because I was like, wait a minute, it is a Disney movie. I could be just reading way too much. And then I'll get an injunction from Disney while I'm patting them on the back. They're like, shut the fuck up.
Like, shut up, dude. It was really just about a snowman. Sorry.
Thank you for enjoying our film. Now take back or we'll destroy you.
And they could. They have LMDs everywhere.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've seen a lot of like really great stuff from that movie, and Steve didn't know what it was about really until like we saw it. He only knew that there was a snowman in it, which was my least favorite character because I fucking hate that actor, and his song makes me want to punch babies. But like we saw it and he left and he was like, oh my god, I've never been so moved by a kid's movie. Like, it's so great. And I fucking cannot stop praising it either.
And I'm actually working on something right now, and sorry to get off topic here. Maybe Brian, you'll
far off topic.
I know. No, I know we're really off topic. No big deal. But
Going from the
we
purge
digress.
to-
We
digress.
Yeah. By the way, Brian, the secondary name of our podcast is We Digress because we get off topic so fucking much. But
What that's like. My podcasts are to the letter, featuring absolutely no tangents whatsoever.
I told him that I would write a script, but then I forgot. And I wrote
Started
a
doing
story
something
instead.
but I had this idea where I was writing it up. Where do you think we're in the midst of a second Disney Renaissance? Because I mean, with films like Wreck-It Ralph, Tangled, and now Frozen, I mean, it seems like the quality from Disney Studios, not necessarily Pixar, but from Disney Studios, that quality has just gone through the roof.
Well, I think before I'd be ready to agree or disagree with that claim, I still don't quite understand the working relationship between Pixar and Disney. Because
Right.
one thing, and then there were two things, and now they're one thing again. Like, I can't wrap my head around how that actually works, so I don't know who to give credit to in that regard.
It's a gay couple. It's how we operate.
Well, if it isn't the gay Ross and Rachel, because they keep breaking it down
No, this is my relationship. Like, every other minute, Steve and I are like, that's it. I'm fucking done with you. I don't give a shit what we have for dinner. Get out of my face. I don't ever want to see you again. And then 10 minutes later, I'm like, that dinner looks amazing. I'm willing to do the dishes if you let me eat tonight. So this is Pixar and Disney.
There's definitely something going on, and I definitely think that that you're talking about the two companies that have, well, see again, like Pixar is really the company that's been sort of on the cutting edge, but the other thing to keep in mind here is that I feel like there's a huge revolution at foot with the Lego movie in a lot of different ways. Like, the Lego movie is going to change a lot, not only in the way that we view what an animated film looks like, but how we view the properties that are adapted into animated film. Because Lord and Miller are magicians. They're fucking movie MacGyvers. They can turn anything into gold. And I feel like there's a lot going on with the Lego movie, and I think that people are going to take notice. I mean, they've already greenlit a sequel for it, obviously, but
yeah,
I really think it's going to start turning some heads, because it's not just about what the movie's about, it's how the movie was made. I mean, stop motion animation has not been utilized like that since Fantastic Mr. Fox, which even that didn't have the amount of stop motion that the Lego movie did. So,
right.
I don't know. It's a
I
little,
really liked that movie.
Exciting.
I liked it too.
Yeah.
It was just like cute. It's like,
yeah.
It was
just like you just wanted to
wildly
bounce
inappropriate too.
Right. And
Oh yeah.
you know, I am such a huge fan of stop motion, and like, for example, one of my favorite films of the last couple years has been Paranorman, which, you know, was a pretty good blend of stop motion and computer generated effects, but enough to show that it's still stop motion. And I loved the hell out of that movie. Which, by the way,
The disappointing thing about that is that movie didn't make any money.
I know, it's so
Nah.
sad. Probably because
I
there
didn't
was
really
like
it.
there was a slew of other animated films at the time. I think we also had Frankenweenie and Hotel Transylvania coming out the same time as that.
I didn't see any of those movies.
Yeah, neither did I.
I didn't
but,
really care for any of this.
But I saw Frankenweenie. It wasn't too bad.
Oh no, I've seen the Hotel Transylvania one.
And how was that?
It was awful.
It's awful.
I saw a meme that said that Frankenweenie, The Corpse Bride, and Nightmare Before Christmas are all the same story.
Huh.
The kid and the dog, and then in
Yeah, I think
Frankenweenie,
I saw that too.
and then the man finds his dog corpse in Corpse Bride, and then the man is Jack Skellington with his ghost dog in
Huh.
that other movie.
That's interesting.
Mind blown.
Nice.
That's like that new Andy's mom.
Oh yeah.
yeah, I read that
I
today.
linked that earlier.
Yeah.
Brian, did you read that article?
I've read the various theories about Andy's mom, and it's always fun to look at movies that kind of de facto take place in one universe. Like, I kind of feel the same way about all the Tarantino movies. Like, I
Yeah.
get into these, like, what if this character is actually this character's dad, and that character is that, and that, yeah. But no, I didn't read that specifically.
Yeah.
I read that today. That was actually really, really cool.
Yeah, it's intriguing. I'll let you read it, Brian. But if you get a chance, check that out. It's a very intriguing read.
I've heard theories like, you know, where's Andy's dad, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. But if there's something really in-depth about his mom, I haven't read it yet.
Well, yeah. This article, it bases the mystery around Andy's mom and compares it to all the other stories that we have going on, and it shows you initially that the hat that Andy has does not match Woody's hat, which was weird, but nobody ever picked up on.
Mm-hmm.
But then in the second movie, it matches perfectly to Jessie's hat. And then Jessie talks about, you know, where she came from and how she was given up.
The mom is the little,
And
Yes.
mom is the
Full
little girl.
circle.
Yes, full circle.
And,
Yes.
But then I like that the article also goes on to say, did she ever notice that Jessie was here? Because how fucking creepy would it be if you walked into your son's room and, like, this toy looked exactly like the toy that you had? And you're like, oh, shit.
See, especially if you start getting into, like, the real reason she left the toy is because she actually saw it come to life.
Yeah.
As Sid, and got freaked out. And it shows up again, suddenly it's like it's a Child's Play sequel. It's
Oh.
But then the article also mentions that Woody may have been Andy's dad's.
Right.
And that Andy's dad may have died off camera right before the first movie, which is why she was unwilling to sell him in the second movie.
Right. Right, because he mentioned it's an old family heirloom, is what she says.
It's an old
right.
family toy, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So-
Andy's still so young that nobody would have fucking cared about that.
Right.
So.
All right, well, we're going to try and get back on track now.
try.
Huge tangent, but that's all right.
Couple times.
So,
Nah.
and Paul, speaking of Toy Story...
and Woody's.
we actually have another Western, which is A Million Ways to Die in the West.
The American West is a terrible place in time. Everything out here that's not you wants to kill you. Angry drunk people, hungry animals, outlaws. Oh, the doctor.
I couldn't save her.
She had a splinter. Doc, what the hell were you supposed to do?
I would like to welcome a new member to our community.
Welcome to our awesome town.
What's with this fair?
Every year, people die.
Really?
Everybody hold still.
People die at the fair.
People die at the fair.
Which actually...
No, thank you.
We're having a great
Pulled that
segue
off
night tonight.
seamlessly.
I'm so glad you caught on to that and we didn't have to rewind.
Thanks.
Who does that in podcast? No one.
Everything goes right to plan all the time.
But...
I actually didn't even watch that trailer until I got here because I forgot about it.
But, Kim had some interesting thoughts on this, and I'm intrigued by it too. I don't know what this movie is. I mean, it seems like it's trying to be Blazing Saddles-esque, kind of examining the era, but it's filled with, modern references. I'm confused. I'm very confused
by it.
by
It was like a Western scary movie.
A Western scary... Oh,
That's
God.
what I was kind of thinking.
That it was I was like, oh my God, it's How Many Ways to Get Scared. I'm like, oh my God, it's How Many Ways to Die in the West.
Scary movie, those films include scattershot pop culture references that aren't attached to anything. Oh, shit. Seth MacFarlane.
Oh, no. And see, that's the nagging thought I have behind this. Because there are references in here that make no sense in context. I mean...
It's too aware of itself.
Right.
They keep referring to the West as if they know how the future eras view it.
Exactly.
What the hell?
I know. And I understand what they're going for, and in a certain sense, I think it would be great. Like I mentioned, Blazing Saddles, like examining the tropes and how this, era worked. I think that'd be great. But there's just too much Seth MacFarlane in it.
I don't know. I kind of like the trailer, personally.
Oh, no, I still laughed at it. I still think there's
it,
some funny parts in it.
I
but
think that it'll be really good.
I'm worried about it. I'm really worried about it.
I agree. You know what? I'm a on again, off again. Like Family Guy, I have a weird relationship with that show. I hate it in a lot of ways, but it's also the thing I put on every night when I'm trying to fall asleep. It's like a comfort food type of thing.
I do the same.
But at the same time, like, as much as I was kind of at a point where I'd given up on Family Guy, when I saw Ted, I was really excited because I was like, wow, it looks like he's found a new energy and a new sort of renewed vigor, and creatively he's got the spark back with doing movies. And then I watched the trailer for How to Die in the West, and I'm just like, but this just feels like Family Guy setups again, and especially since he's in it.
But I mean, in the defense of it, when we saw the trailers for Ted, we kind of expected the same thing.
That's true.
True.
That's a valid point.
Very true.
I mean, when I went into Ted, I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did, and I really was expecting an hour and a half long Family Guy joke.
True. That's entirely true.
And what we got was an hour and a half Flash Gordon joke, but that's beside the point.
And I'm fine with that, because there was a talking teddy bear and Mila Kunis.
Yes.
The thing about the Flash Gordon references is that they establish before they start doing those cutaways that those guys are really into it.
Right.
So it's actually, and see if you can bear with me on this, Seth MacFarlane actually set up and earned the cutaway joke instead of just throwing it at him.
Right.
Very different from what we had seen in Family Guy.
Well, it's actually really different than what we see in a lot of things in movies these days. Because a lot of times we would have just gotten thrown right into that party sequence where this guy that everybody was so excited over just show up.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll give you that. He did set that up very nicely.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, yeah, I mean, I guess on the side of, whether or not I'm dreading this or looking forward to it, I would say I'm a little more dreading this. But like you said, you said the same thing going into Ted, and I probably have these feelings going into this. But, again, I'm just worried about the pop culture references. Like you mentioned Mila Kunis. Why? Why did you have to bring up Mila Kunis?
Because she's hot.
Okay, I know. Okay, but that's beside the point. He's sitting in an Indian circle, and it just comes up. You know, it's just references for the sake of references.
But she's hot.
Okay.
Remember that movie, The Love Guru? And Hugh was like, Marisha Argenter. I was like, I didn't even know that was a person. I didn't give a shit about.
Thank you for bringing up the Love Guru. I almost forgot about it. It's like a recovered memory of a youth style.
You're welcome. Have fun in therapy this week.
Oh, God.
Hold on, I need to make another note.
Oh.
The thing that I kind of like about it is that it does play on the fact that, which is something I always felt like when I watch westerns, was everything is out to kill people in the old West.
Right.
Somebody stubs their toe and they have to amputate a leg, and then it gets infected and they die.
It's like Oregon Trail.
It takes it to a level where it feels like a Final Destination film.
Yeah. Kim made a good point. It's the live version of Oregon Trail.
I used so much salt in that game.
Salt everything.
Now that I've grown up on Oregon Trail and Supernatural, I'm like, don't put any salt on your food. We're either going to need that to amputate a wound or put it on windowsills.
Is that what keeps the zombies out? The salt on the
Yes, exactly.
That's what keeps the ghosts out.
Now, if you put pepper on, you're screwed.
Then the werewolf starts sneezing and I can get away.
Oh.
These are the things I need to know.
Yes. But moving on from that, another film we have that...
I'm sorry. Before you move on from
Shoot.
that, the least stunt casting is Wes Studi as a Native American.
Right.
Die in the West. That guy only ever plays Native Americans because he is, get this, a Native American.
Hey, racist.
That's typecasting.
Typecasting, wow.
I wish Ben was here.
Oh.
His Indian name, Wes Studi, his Indian name means cast as type.
Fair enough.
I is Indian.
So moving on from that, the next trailer we have up, which again is kind of one that I'm not really looking forward to, which is Tammy.
Freeze! Nobody move! Shoot! Don't move!
Okay.
Dang it! Don't even think about it! You need you put all the cash in a bag for me. You, pies. Give me some of the good pies.
That's your finger.
Is it? I wouldn't get sassy.
Kim has mentioned this before. I have very particular feelings about Melissa McCarthy, but
usually he's touching himself when expressing his
wow.
particular feelings.
Wow. No. Hell no.
I think you've just touched upon a fetish that no one has.
Everybody's somebody's fantasy.
That's true.
It's disgusting, but I mean, we have the South.
Oh.
I was going to say, and I'm married. Further evidence of that theory.
But I just want to say this. I'm very hit and miss with Melissa McCarthy. I liked her in certain stuff. I actually liked her in Bridesmaids. It was one part in Bridesmaids I did like. But apart from that, there isn't really much else I've enjoyed her in. I mean, I sadly haven't seen Heat. I've heard mixed reactions about Heat, but I haven't enjoyed it or anything else. And it just seems like this is just a vehicle for her.
And that's funny because The Heat is the only thing I've ever liked her in.
Really?
The reason for that is because they gave her an actual character instead of just, hey, look, she's fat.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. She's fat.
It's almost like, I feel like we should be insulted as a culture that they think just going, hey, look at that fat woman is still funny. Like, it's like, seriously? And why is Melissa McCarthy okay with being the butt of this?
Right.
Like, to that extent.
Right. And I seem, if I recall correctly, that's basically what Identity Thief was, right?
Oh my god. Identity Thief wasn't just that.
I understand there was more problems with it than just that, but that was the thing about her.
Not only were they like, look at her, she's fat, it was also, look at her, she's fat and a horrible human being, and we're supposed to like her. And it was just like, fuck you, you haven't earned an ounce of what you're trying to do in this movie.
I only liked her in the first one.
You only liked her in what?
I only liked her in Bridesmaids. I didn't see the other ones. I watched Mike and Molly once.
Never seen it.
The biggest waste of a half an hour. Was not amused at all.
I liked her in Gilmore Girls.
That show exists because it was like, well, we had all these sitcoms where these really fat guys are with these really attractive wives, so let's do a show where they're both fat. Like, that's as much thought as was put into that show.
Yeah,
Let's
pretty
do a show
much.
Where both the spouses are fat.
Right. Now, again, I've met people who have enjoyed the show, and apparently there's been some decent writing on there, but again, I haven't tuned in to see it just because it just seems like, hey, look, they're fat.
Wait, wasn't that the premise on Roseanne?
No.
Roseanne was they're fat and white trash.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you forgot
It
the
had the
part.
twist.
Yeah. What a twist.
What a twist.
But
And
it
she
had
was
John
loud.
Goodman, and anything John Goodman is in is typically gold.
John
So-
Goodman's the man.
You have just opened my eyes. I just realized that if Identity Thief had come out in the early 90s, Roseanne Barr would have been the lead.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it would have been good.
It would have been good. Wow.
Would have been a movie.
This is true.
I like Roseanne Barr. I've never seen her in anything that I didn't enjoy her in. And I enjoyed her stand-up, too.
Did you see She-Devil?
Yes.
I haven't,
I
actually.
don't know that I have.
I have.
You can't. I'm glad you can still make that statement.
But, yeah, I wanted to point out this trailer that not only are they pointing out the fact that she's fat, but she's robbing a fast food joint.
And stealing pies.
And stealing
Yeah.
pies. I mean,
Apple pies, though. It's American.
yeah,
American.
for fuck's sake, Hollywood, how lazy are you?
Like, to the point I thought, like, the scent from the pie was gonna, like, lift her off her feet and she would, like, fly over. And not only that, but what the hell is going on in this trailer? There's nothing in this trailer that tells us what the movie's about.
Right.
One robbery, and then it's like, is the whole movie this robbery? Is it like Dog Day Afternoon, but with Melissa McCarthy?
Right.
I don't understand what's happening.
It's about all the terrible things this stupid fat white woman does.
Now, oddly enough, when I was listening to this trailer, I did kind of laugh a little bit because the whole time I heard Amish Paradise, but that's not for any fault of the trailer. That's just because whenever I hear Coolio, I now think Amish Paradise. But
Amish Paradise was a serious
The
song.
Japanese version of Gangster's Paradise,
really?
because somebody put that on my iPod as a joke, and I listened to it every day for like 3 months. And so now, anytime I hear those chords strike up, I'm just like, in the go on, Joel. Rapping in Japanese.
Wow. I need to look this up.
Pretty incredible.
But yeah, I just want to say this is just a lazy trailer. It's lazy. Melissa McCarthy, I don't know. I feel she's better than this. And I don't know why she's taking these parts. I don't.
I don't know that she is. That's the thing. I don't know that she's better than this.
Well, like you mentioned, with
In terms of her talent, maybe, but like she keeps reading these scripts and going, "Yeah, I want to be in that."
fair enough. Or she just has a really terrible agent. I don't know, but
You can still say no to your agent.
true, true.
I've watched Entourage. You can.
Fair enough. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't know. Yeah, maybe she isn't. Maybe she's just taking these parts because she thinks this is her vehicle.
I'm
But
not saying definitively she is or she isn't. I'm just saying maybe she's not better than this.
yeah, we'll see. I'm not looking forward to this. I will probably not see this, but maybe with the next trailer we'll actually see what this movie is about. This is more of a teaser than a trailer, but it remains to be seen. I'm not looking forward to it, but what can you do? I just hope she gets something better. Maybe she'll recognize something a little bit better. Yes, Paul. Wait, hold on.
Paul has raised his hand.
No, I just had a good segue for the next trailer.
Yes, Paul.
Ready? Brian, did you have something else to say before I segue?
I was actually going to segue into the next trailer.
Well, there we go.
All right, we'll both segue. So mine is that this trailer had absolutely nothing going on, whereas our next trailer has entirely too much going on, and I still have no fucking idea what it's about. Brian, your turn.
I see your segue and I raise you this. Well, if nothing else, Michael, we know that this will be the most vague trailer we talk about on this show. Surely there is no vaguer trailer than this one this week.
Oh, but Brian, I see your Tammy, and I raise you under the skin.
This is fun.
So you live alone?
Yes.
Think I'm pretty?
I know gorgeous.
Come to me.
Yeah, I think I watched this one twice. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck is
Like,
basically...
what did I miss?
I kept waiting for this to become a horror trailer because of the way it's shot, and then it just kind of ended.
Right.
Did anyone else
Yeah.
It's like, I really want to smell like Britney Spears right now. Hold on.
Now, I want to say one thing before we actually get into the trailer.
I was like waiting for a chest burster or something.
Right.
Like, crawling under the skin.
Right.
Like,
I was waiting for somebody to pull out a knife or a chainsaw and kill somebody. I was like, when's
do
this?
something.
This bitch is gonna get him. I don't know.
Right. But I just wanted to say this. One thing that we sometimes see in trailers, not too often anymore, but what we see is the quotes from critics in the trailer. Like, that's supposed to convince us that this is a good movie. Well, if you're going to do that, tell us what your movie is about. Because I don't know what the fuck was going on in this trailer. You see all these critics calling this guy the next Kubrick.
It's
but how?
riveting. It's amazing. What is amazing?
The story they're not telling you in the trailer is that, okay, so this movie is about, and I had to look this up because the trailer sure as shit wasn't going to tell me.
Right, I looked it up as well, but you can continue because I know what you're going with this. Go ahead.
It's about an alien who comes to Earth and seduces men in Scotland and kidnaps them. But here's the thing about the movie, and the reason that these critics are kind of going apeshit for it, is that it is highly experimental. Of course, they don't mention this in the trailer, but the men that are lured into the van by Scarlett Johansson aren't actors. Like, they set up fake cameras, or they set up cameras in this van to stage basically abductions with these real people. Scarlett Johansson, they think they're actually being kidnapped, and it's really like dangerously experimental. But again, not anything that's mentioned. But I can imagine that's why the critics are kind of going apeshit for it, is because it is such a drastically experimental film.
Are you punking me? That fucking trailer was about aliens?
Yes, it's about aliens.
I didn't do nearly enough drugs before watching that to get that.
But I had no idea that was the concept, Brian. I mean, I knew about the aliens bit, but I didn't know this was basically just a candid camera movie.
Man, that is riveting.
I was waiting for the aliens, but they never came.
Yeah.
No, they came off camera.
The one thing I took away when I read that, and I knew that that's what was going on in the movie, the one thing I kept coming back to is why the fuck don't I live in Scotland? Even if I found out it was staged, I'd be like, I don't care, Scarlett Johansson, take me where the hell you want. Yeah, I'll sign a waiver.
Yeah, take me, Scarlett Johansson, and submerge me in some black goo in the middle of this trailer. What the fuck's going on?
I've told you, Mila Kunis can do what she wants to me when she wants. I'll find a way to keep it hard. Whatever.
Oh my God.
I don't give a shit. Look, Paul, what happened to your arm? It's missing. Mila Kunis has it. Did she give you anything? What? No, she just took my arm. It's awesome. She gave me VD.
I feel the same way about Scarlett Johansson.
Which I really don't like that in the critical consensus of this film during this trailer, someone calls this guy an heir to Kubrick. That just pisses me off because I hate people who do that. It's upsetting. I mean, let him be alone. I don't understand. Just because he puts a lot of symbolism in the film, and because you see, the iris and all these weird shots, it doesn't mean the guy's automatically Kubrick. I don't get that.
You know what I hated about Kubrick?
Where does that comparison come from? Was Kubrick flying around in a space shuttle, like kidnapping astronauts for 2001?
Right.
I don't even understand where that comparison is coming from.
Exactly. That's so strange.
That's why we didn't find anything.
Yeah. But you mentioned a good point where with Tammy, you have a trailer where they show a scene going on, yet we still don't know what's going on. Here we see a lot of different scenes, but we still have no idea what's going on. Yeah. And it takes research from, Brian to figure out, oh, this is about aliens, which makes us say, what the fuck, aliens?
You know what? And even going back to the Guardians of the Galaxy, I know what this team is about. I have no idea what the fuck the story behind this movie is, other than the introduction of a superhero team. Yeah. Are they saving the universe? I saw the Collector in the trailer, but I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Right.
Like, are they going to break out of a prison? Are they going to battle Thanos or the Collector or Amy Pond? Is Rory going to be there?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
But you didn't stop watching the trailer and be like, what the fuck?
Right. I mean, I stopped that trailer a couple times and said, what the fuck?
Yeah, but it was like, dude, something is actually going to come from this. I know it's going to be a superhero film. At the end of this one, I was like, I don't even know what I'm watching.
Yeah, absolutely. And then going to the Wild West movie. We don't really know what the fuck that's about either.
Well,
but it looks like it's going to be comedic.
It is, and so does Guardians of the Galaxy.
And with A Million Ways to Die in the West, you kind of get the sense, it's the one guy who now has to step up and defend the town against the lone outlaw coming in to kill everybody.
Is that what you got from that?
Yeah.
Oh, I just assumed he was avoiding traffic.
Yeah.
But what we don't understand is why he seems to have prescient knowledge of the future,
right?
And how the future views. So there's a lot going on in that trailer that isn't explained. And I'm wondering if because we're talking about all these trailers that are doing these things. I wonder if finally people are starting to listen to the internet. I mean, all these promotional companies, these publicists. I wonder if the the cacophony of we hate spoilers has finally gotten into the right gears. I wonder if this is the pendulum swinging the other way.
Yeah, but
trying to avoid spoilers so much that we actually are we don't know what this movie's about.
Right.
Yeah, that pendulum swung a little too far. Yeah. You don't know shit. What? I don't even know who was in that movie.
Right. And we had mentioned that a while back. I'd rather see more things like this. I'd rather see more teasers than trailers at this point because I don't want to have the movie spoiled for me, which is true. But then we get stuff like the last two trailers we mentioned where there's nothing explained and you go into the movie blind. We need a happy medium.
If Brian hadn't told me that movie I'm going to try that again. If Brian hadn't told me that movie was about aliens and I went in and that movie was about aliens, I would have shit myself. I honest to God have no idea how I would have reacted. I might have had to reboot halfway through that movie to take in the information that I was just supplied.
I don't know. I think I'm kind of on board with this. If this is the new trend in trailers, I think I'm kind of on board because I just keep going back to, I got to see Cabin in the Woods at a press screening before South by, before they had really started marketing it to the general public, and I knew absolutely nothing about it. And I loved the hell out of that movie because it was such a wild ride and I didn't know where it was going. And I'm like, man, I wonder if this is going to allow us to go into more movies blind, something that used to be the standard. Like before the internet, people didn't know what the movies were about. They just knew, I know that actor, I know that director, this sounds like it might be cool. Here's my money, let me see what this is about. That used to be the standard.
Right.
And we've kind of been spoiled by the internet age of here's everything you need to know about the movie. Go to IMDb, look at this trailer, look at that trailer, look at this teaser for that trailer, look at this Super Bowl spot, look at that Super Bowl spot. So 40% at least of the movie before you go, before you ever buy your ticket. And I'm like, maybe this is a kind of reverting back to that older style. I'm kind of on board with that.
Yeah, as am I. And
I mean, and that's all great and wonderful, the teasers, but going into E.T., I knew that shit was about an alien. So, I mean, without telling me the whole...
He was phone home.
Right. He was trying to find a phone. And that motherfucker didn't have a single quarter.
I'm just imagining if they had, internet, they had, YouTube when E.T. was being promoted, if people would have thought it was, an ad for the phone company.
Nice. But you bring up a good point about people being surprised walking into films. Imagine if the internet had been around for films like From Dusk Till Dawn or Predator. Can you imagine?
Even further, go to Psycho.
Yeah.
If the internet had been around for Psycho, nobody would have been surprised by that movie.
Right. So, I mean, and that's an interesting, commentary you can bring up. Is it possible to have, a twist in a film anymore? A spoiler-free film? Which, Tarantino would say no because his scripts get leaked, but that's beside the point. But
air quotes, leaked.
Air quotes leaked, yeah.
And not only that, but, is it possible to know too little about a movie before you go into it? Is that even a thing that you can, obviously you can know too much. You can know how the movie ends. You can know all the twists. Is it possible to know too little? Is that... is there a point where people feel like they need to know something or they're not going to spend the money on it?
I'm going to go with yes with that fucking J.J. Abrams, air quotes, movie that we later found out was a book.
Oh, right. Did you ever see that trailer, Brian?
Can we at least know that it's a book?
Yeah. Stranger, yeah. Ugh. I couldn't believe that. But to answer your question, Brian, yes. Because having worked in box office for a while, I can tell you that people walk up and just say, oh, give me the Will Smith film. They have no idea what it's about. They just walk up and say, "Oh, yeah, give me the Scarlett Johansson one. Oh yeah, give me the Tom Hanks one." They have no idea what it is. They just walk up line, want the actor, and walk in. So yeah, they can go on too little information.
Yeah, I've been wrestling a lot lately with using the word "we" and like what "we" actually means to me is like people who I associate with who are either hardcore movie geeks or professional movie geeks. That's what they do for a living. And I keep forgetting that the average moviegoer is nothing like us.
Right.
I'm not even a hardcore movie geek. I just come here to officiate the comic book stuff.
You come here for the White Russians.
I also come here for the men. And the drinks.
And the drinks. Alrighty. Well, is there any other trailers anyone wanted to bring up that we could touch on real quick? I mean, that's all I have. Did anyone want to touch on anything else?
I'm excited over the next animated DC flick, Son of the Batman.
Son of the Batman.
Hell yeah, Damian, baby.
I have not seen that.
Yeah, buddy. It's the next one. I'm excited because Justice League War kind of sucked.
I did hear that. I did hear that Flashpoint was good though.
Flashpoint was really good. Flashpoint was actually surprisingly amazing. I'm like, oh yeah, the Flash is cool and he runs okay. Flashpoint was. I have it. I'll fucking lend it to you.
Oh, okay.
That shit was amazing.
And you know, I actually just started picking up on some of the Flashpoint comics. I just picked up the Flashpoint Green Lantern, and I'm enjoying the hell out of that.
I actually didn't know that Flashpoint was what ended the DC universe.
Well, it's what ended after, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure it was after Blackest Night, Brightest Day. The next event was Flashpoint.
I don't know. But I know that what came from Flashpoint was New 52.
Right.
So.
Right.
Which is cool because at the end of Flashpoint, their suits are different.
Okay.
Which I kind of picked. I was like, Barry's suit looks a little different. And Steve made fun of me because when I redesign suits, I use a lot of piping. He was like, look at the yellow piping. I'm like, shut up. Stop judging me. I use yellow piping in all of my... I use a lot of yellow piping in my X-Men designs.
Fair.
That is the first time I've ever been able to pull out a quote from the Elijah Wood movie North. So thank you.
You are welcome.
Wow. All right.
I'm here to help.
Well, if there's nothing else, Brian, did you want to touch on anything before we leave for the night?
I'll give you something to touch on.
I was going to say, if you can't see me, I'll probably be touching on stuff the whole time.
Wait, can we see him? We just have a picture. It's not even you doing anything. If you were sitting here touching, Mike would not be the one staring at this screen.
No. I think the only thing I could possibly think of is there was like an international or British trailer for Amazing Spider-Man 2 that was, I can't even put my finger on what footage in it was new, but the way it was cut together, it was the first one that kind of got me a little bit excited about Amazing Spider-Man 2. I've been very cool on it, but this particular trailer just went around today. I'm excited.
Interesting. We'll have to watch that later, Paul.
I feel like this the trailers we've seen for Amazing Spider-Man, there's a lot going on.
Yes, there's a ton going on.
A lot going on, and it's one of those movies that, as somebody who is just going to watch a Spider-Man movie, you're excited because there's a lot of that there's not going to be a moment in this movie where you're going to be bored. But as a fan, you're looking at it going, all right, please to God, don't make this X3. You've got.
Once you start bringing in that many villains, I was thinking of Spider-Man 3, where they tried to bring in too many Spider-Man villains.
True.
Spider-Man film.
Well, but even Spider-Man 3, like I enjoyed Spider-Man 3, and I tried to take it as close as I could to like, all right, I'm enjoying you, I'm trusting you, until the point where everybody met, and then I was like, what the fuck? Like, so Topher Grace got Venom, and I'm like, what did I smoke before I came in here? Like, what is this? I'm too young to drink this much.
I just want to get to the end of the movie, and Electro, Rhino, and Green Goblin are sitting in the same jail cell going, if we had double this amount of people.
Well,
exactly.
They are using this movie to segue into the Sinister Six.
Yes.
Right.
So, I mean, we've got that to look forward to, but that's if this fucking movie does something good. Mm-hmm. So it's either going to be really good, or it's going to be really bad.
Yeah. And classically, the only superhero films that do that are DC films. Only DC films have the gambit of really good or really bad.
But something Marvel is really good with, and I'll give them this, is usually, if the first movie's good, the second movie is better.
Sometimes.
We need to be careful because this happens a lot. I mean, I'm not singling you out, but we have to be careful to remember there's Marvel movies, and then there's the Marvel properties that belong to other studios.
Right.
And I know that sounds like splitting hairs, but there is a clear difference, even in strategy, in tone, in approach to the way that the Sony and Fox handled their Marvel properties versus an actual Marvel film.
And you're absolutely right. But with movies like Daredevil, there was only one Daredevil, didn't really do well.
Mm-hmm.
And then Elektra, which could be considered a Daredevil sequel, made me want to kill myself. Ghost Rider sucked from the get-go.
Yep.
Punisher, I thought was really good. The first one, because it was the Punisher, but it wasn't a superhero movie. And then the second one I watched like 14 seconds of, and I just had to turn it off because it was giving me an aneurysm.
I love the hell out of Punisher Warzone.
Did you?
Punisher Warzone is everything I wanted from a Punisher. Like, after suffering through Dolph Lundgren Punisher, to be the really moody, like, Thomas Jane Punisher, I was so ready for just, like, a vengeance-fueled Death Wish movie starring the Punisher. And that's what I got with Warzone.
But with that, like, I couldn't get over, like, Jigsaw's face, like, the terrible campiness of the whole thing. I was like, I felt like I was watching a Dick Tracy movie.
Oh, let me be perfectly clear. It is not a good film.
He's like, oh, don't worry, I'm not defending it.
And that actually reminds me to another point, which is the Ghost Rider sequel, which was Spirit of Vengeance.
Which was worse.
No. The first half of that film I loved. I enjoyed the hell out of it because it's basically Nicolas Cage just going butt fucking crazy. And I enjoyed it. But then the second half, it got all moody. And, and nothing happened. There was like 10 minutes of him just riding in the desert. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Get back to what we had in the beginning.
And then we had Spider-Man. Spider-Man did great. Spider-Man 2 was better. X-Men was great. X-Men 2 was better. And even if you want to do a stretch assignment and do Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass was great. Kick-Ass 2, from what I've heard, I haven't seen it yet, was better.
I don't know about that one.
I haven't seen it.
No. I mean, I haven't seen it myself, so I can't ardently disagree, but everybody that I know that saw it hated it.
Really?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's one, and it may be one of those things where there might be a dividing line between fans and critics, but I also happen to be, in Austin, where most of the fans are critics. So, I don't know, like, everybody I talk to just really ripped that movie to shreds.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
I haven't seen it yet, and it's not officially, like, it's owned by Marvel, but it's Marv.
Right.
It's like one of their off branches. It's like Vertigo.
Marv.
But I heard that it was really good. But I mean, all right, I'll just wait till it hits Netflix.
But regardless, I guess that's all we have. Brian, you want to do some cheap plugs or anything? Or
I would love to do some cheap plugs.
Okay.
I'm not overly expensive.
We have a lot of great geeky content over at oneofus.net. No matter what you're into, we have some various outlet for it. If you're into tabletop gaming, if you're into comic books, if you're into TV, into movies, or even if you're into sports. I know, crazy, right? That is its own geekdom. We have all kinds of great stuff for you over at oneofus.net. We're going to be doing a lot of new shows and new features over the next couple months, and I'm just really excited about the direction it's heading. And I also have a super awesome secret project that is going to be kind of unveiled on March 4th, so that's all I can really say about it. It's a horribly cryptic thing to say.
That's all right. I look
There's
forward
this thing I'm doing, but you don't know that I'm doing it. Okay.
That sounds great. And I tell you what, I turn people onto oneofus.net quite often. I enjoy the hell out of the site. So I want to thank you again, Brian, for coming on. It was great having you on. Contributed a lot to our trailers. I really do appreciate you being on.
Thank you for having me.
And I want to thank Paul again for showing up.
I also turn people on often.
I want to thank Kim for showing up. And I want to thank Allison for showing up and bringing her chocolates.
I guess wasn't even that good.
You could say better late than never, but I mean, that would have meant you didn't interrupt the show.
Oh.
So. You hadn't even started. You're still bullshitting.
That's what we do the whole fucking time.
Hold on. When did you stop bullshitting?
Nah, exactly.
All we do.
See? Did I really interrupt? I just joined the bullshit.
But thank you guys for tuning in. Have a good night and take care.
We out.